Good day and welcome to the channel. In this short video, we are going to unbox, set up, and review this, which is the Hisense QD6 television. Now, this is a QD, which stands for quantum dot. So we're going to also spend a few minutes explaining what quantum dot is, because most people don't know. They just think it's a little more expensive, so it must be a little better. And generally that's true, but there are some drawbacks, and you might want to be aware of them. Now, we've also done a pile of reviews on the Hisense A6 series, which is its nearest competitor. And we'll put links in the corners if you want to watch those. I would say, from what I know, that the TV is roughly equivalent. This unit cost about $50 more in Canadian dollars, so what, 35 US difference. And we sourced it at Costco. That gets to a good point. These reviews, completely unsponsored. Hisense has given us nothing. Costco has given us nothing. We bought this unit because we want this unit. We're going to mount it on a wall right back up there. So we think this is the best product for us. So hey, let's get into some of the specs. Firstly, this is 4K. And all that means is that there's about 4,000 dots across the top of the screen. So as opposed to a normal 1080p screen, yes, the numbers are confusing, that's about 2,000 dots across. So when you do the math, this is 4 times the number of dots that a regular TV would have. Now, almost everything is 4K these days, so it's not that big a deal. If you buy a Hisense, though, you could buy the A4 series and find that it is, in fact, the old 1080p standard. But here, it's all 4K, and at this scale, it really needs to be, because this unit is 65-inch. Now, the QD6 series comes in all kinds of different sizes, so whatever size you have, this review will still apply. But this one's for the 65 in particular, because that's what we have right here. So let's go over a number of features on it that you might care about, and then we'll get into explaining very briefly explaining how quantum dot works and why, again, you care about it. First thing is, this is a Google Smart TV as opposed to a Vidaa Smart TV or a Roku. It's not either of those, it's a Google TV. And as far as meaningful features go on it, it has Dolby Vision. Now, Dolby Vision we explained in another video, but it boils down to, if you can get Dolby Vision, you want Dolby Vision. It will make the colors pop much more than normal HDR, which is high dynamic range. It also has Dolby DTSx, and what that does is give you sort of a surround sound feeling from only a couple of speakers at the front. Now, if you have surround sound, you know, like a 5.1 system, even better, it'll sound great. But if you don't, it'll attempt to make that sound similar with DTSx. And if you want to know how that works, check out the links. Now, what makes this different from the standard Hisense A6 series? Not a whole lot other than the quantum dot, but one feature is that it has 4 HDMI ports rather than 3. You probably don't care. Most people are using 1. So that might be an issue for some people, but not most. The next thing is, the A6 series has a really cool feature called variable refresh rate, which is, we will ignore the detail, but it boils down to, it is only of any impact if you're working with a gaming console. If you're working with a gaming console, there's some slight improvement. You might be able to avoid some tearing in the screen if the refresh isn't going the way it should. Variable refresh rate helps with that. Most people, again, don't care. Now, one of the questions we get is, does variable refresh rate make a difference to movies? No. And the reason is, movies are shot in either 24 frames if they're old, or 30 frames a second. This is 60, so it's already way more than you need. Now let's get to quantum dot. I'll put a graphic up right here so you can take a look at it, but what it boils down to is, people think that an LCD panel, the screen, is a single thing, but it's not. It's simplified, it's 4 layers. There's a backlight, then there's a modifying layer, then there's the LEDs, and then there's the glass. So we all start with the back, which is a blue light that emits literally just light. And to make that light white, on a normal LCD screen, they have a yellow filter. You put those colors together and you get white out. And then it pushes into the LCDs, and then it hits the glass, hits your eye, and you're on your way. The problem is, to get the colors to work, they have to filter it a bit. Quantum dot, on the other hand, what it does is, you've got the backlight, the blue backlight. Instead of having that yellow layer, what you have are quantum dots, which are just little elements that they can energize with the light from the backlight behind. And instead of just putting out a white light, it'll actually put out the color that the pixel is supposed to be. So if it's red, it'll put out red. If it's blue, it'll put out blue. And then so you have a blue backlight pushing onto a blue LCD pixel. It looks great. So simplified, that's quantum dot. So quantum dot, you're going to get more colors, sort of. They're going to be sharper, and that color gamut is just better. Two other advantages to quantum dot are, one, because they're not using the filter in the same way, you actually get more light out, so it's slightly brighter. And another feature is that the quantum dot uses less electricity. So I don't know how long it's going to take to square that up with the price you paid for the TV, but it does use a little bit less. And that's a good thing. Now let's get to unboxing this thing and see how it actually works. Now when you're picking a TV up, especially when it's coming out of the box, you're really not used to it, you're not really sure where things are, make sure you do not put your hands on the screen itself. Stay on the bezel, which is the plastic around the outside, and apply pressure. If you apply pressure with your fingers, your fingertips or anything else to the screen itself, you can do what we call bruising it, which is basically you damage some of the cells and then they don't fill and unfill properly and end up with these dark spots. Not very good. So make sure you touch the sides, not the front. This weighs about 30 pounds, so one person can do it. Note I could have lifted the top to get this off, but I didn't want to because I wanted to leave this box intact in case I have to take it back. So what do we have here? We've got two legs, that's just for the stand. We also have a remote, and this is a voice remote, so you can just talk and have it do whatever you want. Anyway. These have a T-shape on them in the molding, so you can't possibly put them on backwards. Standard Phillips screwdriver, nothing special. And if you're going to mount this on the wall like we're going to, it has VESA mounts right here. So this is a 300 by 400 millimeter VESA. Now to pull the protective film off, there's a yellow tab. So pull that off. Do not run your TV with the protective film on. It won't cause a problem other than it will look like crap. And you have to peel it from the back as well. Somebody always wants to look at the box. Go to the box first and just explain that there's really nothing on it that you haven't seen already, that we haven't discussed. But there it is. Yes, this supports Chromecasting, so you can project your phone to the screen. eARC, that is for use with soundbars. It's an audio return channel, that was what that means. It allows you to sync the speech with what's on the screen much better than it did before ARC. eARC is the enhanced version. It's the newer version. So Alexa, yeah, it also works with Google Home. Now there on the side we have the power connector, and you can see it goes to the side rather than the back, which is useful because if you're trying to mount it like I am going to, you really want to have it going to the side. An Ethernet port, which you will probably never use. You'll also have a digital audio output, which is the one in the middle, and you will have your fourth HDMI port. Now again, it's 4K. Now we come around to the side, and let's start at the top. We have a USB port, because yes, it's a smart TV, and you can plug a USB stick in and watch movies or whatever else. It also has the headphone jack, as you can see. Audio visual in, you're not going to use that, but in theory you could. HDMI 1, HDMI 2, and HDMI 3. HDMI 3, right there, that's the one that's useful. That's the one that you're going to want to default to because it's got that eARC designation on it. That's the one that you should plug things into generally. And then you have a typical antenna cable in, but very few people are going to use that these days. Although you might, I suppose, if you've got high def over-the-air TV. We've tested that a few times. It works pretty well in some jurisdictions. And then there's a second USB port. And this one also provides electricity out, which is helpful if you're trying to run something like a drive. There's no top or bottom on this. Either side is fine. And if you're trying to put the batteries in the remote, it's not obvious where the door is. And the answer is you just take your thumbs, slide down. Yeah, it's the same as some of the other ones. And because we're back here, we're also going to plug in our cable box, but if you don't have to have one of these, of course. A lot of people don't these days. But we are going to use that HDMI 3, which is the eARC one. All right, so we'll just use the remote to move up and down. And in my case, I want English. So I will leave it as English US, click OK. I'm in Canada, let's set up Google TV. I'll go to my Wi-Fi. What services do you want to set up? Well, I have Disney Plus, I have Prime, I have Netflix, I have all kinds of stuff. Odd that Netflix isn't listed here. What that means, most likely, is they didn't pay. Okay, so I will hold the home and back button. Three seconds, there we go. Green, that's happy. That is very sharp.
Station today.
So I didn't like that. What happened was the system popped up and said, you have an update. Would you like to do it now? And you had no choice. You couldn't get out of it by pressing the back button or the home. Couldn't get out of it. So I had to do it, which would be really annoying if I was, watching a baseball game or something sensitive. Google TV is not my favorite thing, but it is what it is. So I've done the install and rebooted.
But yes.
Sound quality is very good. It's a little washed out. Now that's intentionally washed out in this particular video. Let's go find a 4K video. Okay, let's watch this one. And let's zoom in and take a little look. That looks pretty good. All right, let's go into settings. So we're going to press the settings cog on the remote. And you'll see in the top right-hand corner right there, it says all settings. So I can press the OK button and it will take me into all settings. And now I can name the device, go into the inputs and set them up if I wish, turn some off, put parental controls on, things like that. Set all of the picture settings if I wish. Game settings, as you can see here on the right. These are all common sense things. That's the network, accounts, but importantly here are the apps. Now, because this is basically an Android TV, although it's not called that, it's called Google TV. You can see here it has all of the Google Android stuff. So you can manage updates, you can turn apps on and off, you can force them to stop, you can flush their cache and their storage. Now, if you sell this TV in the future, you probably want to wipe it out. And how to do that? Well, you can go into settings and down to system and whatever else, or you can just use the voice remote. So you can press the voice button here and say factory reset. And it says to reset your device, go to home screen and select settings. Then select storage and factory reset. I'm going to click right on that, factory reset TV. So overall, what do we think of the Hisense QD6 series, in this case the 65-inch? We like it a lot. What we don't like is that it doesn't have variable refresh rate, because while we're not gamers, my kids are, and they might want that feature. The second thing I don't like is I don't like Google TV very much. I much prefer Roku or what the A6 series has, which is Vidaa, V-I-D-A-A. That is, I think, a superior product. Now, this supports all of the apps, as you can see on the box, Netflix, Disney, Tubby, YouTube, on and on and on, right? So you're going to be able to do anything you want with this. And you may actually prefer the Google TV. It's an excellent quality product, and I like it. I just don't know that it's worth much more than, say, an extra $50 for the Quantum Dot. I don't see it as being a big difference. I don't see it as being a big enough difference to justify really any cost. That being said, good product, happy with it. So hey, look, if you found this video useful, please give us the big thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always get a hold of us directly at www.urtech.ca. That's www.urtech.ca. Or you can leave a question or a comment below, and if we don't get back to you, somebody else will, because on YouTube, everybody's got an opinion. Thanks and have a great day. Bye-bye.